What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
I knew it. Another Herdat Media production.
Well, I was going to ask, what are your feelings on Caroline and Dolores writing a letter, talking about Tommy's character, Dina's ex?
Well, I mean, I'm happy the truth finally came out and justice will be served. But I mean, it just was so disturbing and scary. But as far as Caroline and Dolores go, I mean, I have no idea what those letters said or if they even existed. I'm so out of the loop with that. But I did hear from the grapevine that they were character witnesses for Tommy.
Yeah.
Because I know at the time, Caroline and Dolores were close with Tommy and not so much Dina at the time. And they hadn't been in contact with Dina in a really long time. And Tommy is Caroline's husband's brother. So I could imagine that it put her in an awkward position. And I don't think either one of them truly believed that Tommy would be capable of this. I think they thought it came from someone else. Maybe her ex's family. I mean, Dina's husband's family, ex-family.
Yeah.
I remember them thinking it wasn't Tommy at the time. So I'm sure they're shocked and disappointed about it. Yeah. I mean, I haven't discussed this with either of them. I mean, I'm just kind of like mind my own business when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It's so deep. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, also, that's Caroline's husband's brother and then her mother-in-law's son. I mean, it's like, I'm sure it's like, she's angry, like, how could your son do? I don't think they really thought that it was him. I think they thought that it was maybe came from Dina's husband's ex's family or something. And then
the first one?
Yeah, the one that he left for Dina, like that.
Like she's saying the husband.
Okay.
That family, or like Dina's husband Dave's ex-wife's family.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. And I think she was just trying to be a character witness for Tommy. Like, oh, he's not, I mean, I don't know what she said. I don't know.
I mean, personally, if I didn't know for sure, I still wouldn't do it just because it's my sister.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't do that just because in case. And like, look what ended up happening.
Did she have to do it? Was she deposed or was
No. I'm sure Tommy maybe asked them, which he also put them in an uncomfortable situation by probably asking them to do that. But
I remember we were deposed. Teresa and I and Caroline were all deposed in a case from Danielle's ex-husband deposed us in a case against Danielle. And we did not want any part of it. I was like, no, we cannot be a part of this. And I remember Teresa and I met with him in the city and begged him not to make us be part of it. But he's like, he just wanted to know like what Danielle said about him during filming and what lies she told and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Caroline got deposed and she had to do it. And
but here's the thing. I think if Caroline if Caroline explained to Tommy and said, listen, this is my sister at the end of the day, I don't think he would make her do that. I think maybe the husband, like his brother, yeah, he would. I just think it was a really bad call, but I do think they maybe didn't think it was Tommy who did it, but there was speculation. So if there's any speculation on it, you just back away from that.
Yeah, I don't know the circumstances because, like I said, I never talked to Caroline about it. I mean, I know that, obviously her and Dina aren't close. I don't know, I know they were close with Tommy because the family that's around that. I don't know what happened, but I mean, I would have opted to stay out of it, but I don't know the situation to know all the details surrounding that.
Yeah.
But that sucks.
Well, you guys didn't write a character thing, so
You know.
at least you guys didn't do that. So yeah.
Nobody asked.
Yeah, right. Do you ever rewatch your season, or have you ever rewatched it now?
So I've never rewatched our old shows. I've seen, YouTube clips, clips on the internet, and then I've caught my Nicholas. He has I caught him watching some in his room before. I almost died.
Oh my God.
That's when we used to get the screeners from the DVD before it was digital.
Yeah.
So they would send us a DVD. And so I have a stack of those, and I've caught him watching some of those, but I haven't watched the old ones, and I keep saying I'm going to do that.
You need to do it. We did it, and it's so interesting watching back.
Oh God, knowing everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like how things end up turning out. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Do you currently watch?
I did this season. I watched the whole season. When I left, I didn't watch it. When I left, I didn't watch it. I would catch the reunions and then a couple key episodes. If someone was like, no, you got to watch this episode, then I would watch it. But it's funny, since I moved to California, I've been power watching all of the Housewives from all the franchise. I'm not caught up on New Jersey. I'm becoming a super fan of Housewives now. I haven't watched New Jersey. I'm not caught up in all the seasons with New Jersey after I left, but I did watch some of last season, and I watched all of this season.
What were your thoughts on the current season?
I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
Tricks and trades of like what they're doing? Like, can you see it from like so fast and so clear? Since like
from a viewer's point, like I can see what's happening, and then things are probably cut out and stuff too. It's watching as a viewer, because I'm like, oh please, like this was going on behind the scenes, or this happened, or that. I mean, is there something specific you want to know? Like,
well, what are your thoughts on Margaret?
Margaret. I mean, when I remember watching the reunion, like when she first came on the show, I thought she was good for the show. I thought she was witty and funny and stuff like that. But Margaret, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion of Margaret.
Do you think she goes too far? Like, do you think that like it's like kind of like, hold up, like now you're taking it to the next level?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot behind the scenes going on and being talked about and stuff like that. And people will say things for shock value, or I'm trying to think of, give me a specific instance, because my mind's going blank with that for some reason.
I mean, she called Jennifer Aiden a drug addict. She put out the Bill Aiden affair.
Their affair.
Well, that's not good, because once you do that, that sticks with you. Whether people will tend to believe it if it's not true, or I don't know. I think they all kind of do that. They go after each other because it's like, oh, let me talk about you, take the heat off of me, or you want to get it. I feel like they all kind of take jabs at each other, and it's just gotten like very toxic to watch. Like, it's not like fun to watch anymore. It's too tense and deep and dark and toxic. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was more toxic when you were on the show, or has it gotten even worse?
I feel like it's gotten worse. I mean, it was toxic when we were on the show too, but I feel like it's gotten worse. Yeah. And now it's like, there's like the definite teams, like I feel like we didn't even get to see who Rachel Fuda was or what her character was, because she spent the whole season being angry at Teresa and refused to film with her and was just angry the whole time. So you didn't get to see, like, let me learn more about you or your character, or what you have to bring to the table, instead of showing the anger. But I think what their plan was, let's all stick together and ice Teresa out.
Yeah.
And show how great we are over here as a team. So you'll get rid of Teresa. Like, they're kind of they were doing that, but I mean, it might backfire on them.
What do you think the future looks like?
Well, I mean, personally, I think that if they were to remove Teresa from the show, they really couldn't keep anyone else from the cast either. I think they would have to hire an entirely new cast. They would have to totally reboot the show and start over, because I think the network needs to realize that Teresa deserves the title of being the longest standing housewife of RHOJ because of all she has given to the show over the years.
Yeah.
To me, she's earned it. Nobody else deserves that spot. I mean, especially not Melissa with her stale storylines. So to have someone else on longer than like if Teresa were to go and Melissa were to stay on and become the longest standing housewife, I don't think she deserves that title over Teresa. The show is centered around Teresa since the beginning. She's always been the face of the show. She's the network's moneymaker. There'll never be anyone else like Teresa. She's like one of a kind. She's always active in her life. So she always brings good, new, authentic storylines to every season. She's unpredictable. She's reactive. And she shows many aspects of her personality and her struggles. So, if I were the network or production having to choose next season's cast, I would probably be looking to cast new, younger faces with young families. Maybe someone with a big following who already has experienced some fame or notoriety. I would obviously keep Teresa for the reasons I mentioned.
Yeah.
And maybe I would keep a couple of the new familiar faces on the show, like Danielle and Rachel, just because I think they have more story to tell that we haven't seen yet, and they can be funny. And I don't know who Rachel is. Like I said, she spent the whole season being angry. I think Dolores is a good narrator and gives us good insight into the inner workings of the group. And she has this ability to remain neutral. So I think she's good for the show, at least in some capacity. Where like maybe her storyline isn't as strong, but the way she can navigate the group and tell how the group thinks, I think keeps her strong, and she's very likable. But I mean, it's not like I don't like some of the other girls on the show, but if I was going to move in a different direction because of the standstill between the cast, then that's the direction I would go in. And then maybe a sidebar where Kathy and Rosie come in to reconnect with Teresa. That might be fun to see.
Do you think Kathy would do? We had Teresa on our podcast and we asked her, we're like, would you say hi to her? And she's like, yeah, like, it's been a lot of time, and, I would say hi to her, but we have our own lives, and I've seen her kids and I've always loved her kids. And do you think that they would ever, mend things because, time does heal?
I would like that. I think it's really hard for Teresa to get over, her coming on the show, and I think she gets offended, by the way Richie's sense of humor. He likes to, poke and take jabs and stuff. It's like his sense of humor, and I think she gets offended by it. And I don't know. I mean, like she said, she would say hello to her. So maybe that's the first step. And then, I mean, Kathy to me is way more sincere, and she honestly didn't come on the show to go after Teresa. That I didn't get that vibe from her. Like, I really didn't get that vibe from her. I think she reacted out of frustration to some of the things that would go on between them,
you need to rewatch though, because there were times where I would be like, yeah, Kathy, but then at the reunion when everyone was at Teresa's throat, she would be at Teresa's throat. And Chantel and I are cousins, right? And if my cousin did that with my sister-in-law, I'd be like, what are you doing? We're cousins. We have a history. We were close and all that stuff. So I think that's the hurt that Teresa had. So I feel like if they actually talk through that, they would be able to move forward and if they understood that.
Yeah, if they get to the root of it, like I said that because you said this, and then when you work through that, I mean, if she could make up with me, the crazy shit we've said and done to each other, like, it's like, I feel like I know.
But when it's your family, it's harder. It's harder. Like I'm saying, if Chantel betrayed me like that, it would be so hard for me because you're my family. How could you ever do that? And I do think Melissa was in Kathy's ear quite a bit rewatching.
Melissa was in Kathy's ear?
Yeah, behind the scenes, I could sense that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it was just, and then she just flipped on her and totally ignored her, just like she did with me when I left. Season 6, they asked me to come back season 6, and I said no. I until the end they were like, please come back. Filming's terrible. Yeah. I came back, but Melissa didn't even call me. Like, she didn't keep in touch with me at all until she heard I was coming back on the show. And then she started calling.
So what were your thoughts? Oh yeah. What were your thoughts when Melissa was reading your text to Jackie at the season 13 reunion?
I thought it was funny. Wait, hold on. Cause I had written something down about that. I'll tell you what I'll tell you.
Yeah, because it's so funny that she even brings up, she tries to like make it seem like they have all the tea from you.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny because, well, first of all, they get offended when I'm not on the show now and then I talk about it, but they're the ones bringing me up while filming. But exactly. I thought the text, I thought it was funny because I thought it was irrelevant because those texts were written 2 years prior to Teresa and I making up when we hated each other. So I didn't get the importance of it. So at the time, I was always saying things publicly, privately, on my Instagram, on my podcast. Like I was saying all kind, stuff like that. So, because we didn't like each other, so, and I thought it was like a private conversation with her, but I would say stuff like that publicly anyway. But then Melissa lied and said that they were more recent, but there was a timestamp on them from 2 years prior to my making up with Teresa, but she tried to make it sound like it was recent. I'm like, what's your point? Like, why are you bringing up a text when we didn't like each other? You have texts to me about Teresa like that too. Like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, Teresa didn't care, so neither did I. But then I sent Teresa the whole conversation between Jackie and I and told her about our phone calls and everything just to be, transparent and fair. Because I was like, you're going to, here I am thinking Jackie and I were cool. She would call me and complain about Teresa and text me all these things about Teresa. And then you're going to take our, act like we're cool, compliment me, say all these nice things to me. Then you take my text and put it to air on a show. It's like, why would you do that? And then when I confronted her about it, I'm like, why would you do that? I'm just wondering why you would do that. I mean, luckily it didn't cause a problem with Teresa and I, but I just don't understand what was your purpose in doing that. And then she tried to act like in writing, I don't know if she was sitting by someone or whatever. She was like, you're the one that unsolicitedly texted me. And I'm like, oh, really? Did you forget that you were texting and calling me? So I think she didn't realize I'm the type of person to save my text messages. So I started sending her 15 text messages between us where she was talking about Teresa and Dolores and whatever. And that her saying she was calling me and like all this stuff. And then her response was like, leave me alone. So then I just left her alone. Cause I don't care, but it, whatever she was trying to do didn't work, Well,
what do you think about Jackie and Teresa being good now?
I mean, I kind of told Teresa at the beginning of the season that she should make up with most of the cast.
Yeah.
I think it was in her best interest because she doesn't want to put herself on an island. So I thought she should make up with everybody, and except for Melissa, because she didn't want any part of that. But she didn't want to make up with Margaret either. She was very adamantly saying she didn't want to make up with Margaret. So, and I understand with everything going on between them, with her reaching out to the ex and all that. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's hard to be friends with someone who does that to you, So, so I think, those are the two people she agreed not to talk, but she was going to try to make amends with everyone else. So it wasn't shocked, but, Jackie, I think she's pathetic to me. Sorry. I think she's,
well, I mean, I would be hurt with what she did to you. I mean, I would be so she betrayed you by, significantly by doing that.
Yeah. So I just think that was shitty. It was like, I just think she's so desperate and pathetic. I think she's trying to hold on to her position. So she's doing that. I mean, I don't know how the relationship's transpired since then. I think Teresa thinks that they've transpired into a real friendship, which, maybe, because, Jackie was acting out because of what was said on camera and that she was upset with about her husband cheating and stuff like that. So I understood why Jackie was upset at the time. That's, kind of what we were talking about. So,
yeah.
I get it. So if Teresa can let that go, that's on her. But for me, I'm just we were good. And I don't understand why you did that, but I'm like, whatever. It's nothing that hasn't been shown before, so I don't care. But
Yeah.
it was more about Jackie doing that was kind of shitty,
Yeah. And then look, her and Melissa aren't even friends.
Yeah. And then they're not even friends. And, but they all have text messages like that, that they say they all do. So, when you don't like somebody, you don't say nice things about them, and you have a little laugh behind their back because you don't like somebody. That's just what happens. And, I've apologized to Teresa for that. I feel terrible, and honestly, in that text, I honestly wasn't talking about, I know it came off like I was talking about her looks, but Jackie's the one who told me she had all this stuff done. So
right.
I was not talking about her looks. I was saying she does all this stuff to herself, but she's still an ugly person, meaning
inside.
Her soul is ugly. She's ugly person in general because she's so mean and does all these things.
Yeah.
Like, that was my take on it. It wasn't like her physical look of her. I was like, oh, you do all this stuff to look so beautiful, but you're ugly because you're this.
Yeah.
It didn't come off like that, I guess. But
I mean, Margaret recently went on podcast where she said that Jackie would constantly do that, would send her stuff, like pictures of Teresa, do all this. So it sounds like it aligns with your experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what she was doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, why would you put mine out there without putting yours out there?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The whole thing out there then,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's always like so shady. What are your thoughts on Danielle Cabral unfollowing Caroline Manzo off Instagram once she got on the show?
I don't understand why she would do that. Like, what happened there? Because I think Caroline helped her. Yeah, she was like kind of suggesting her for the show and everything. So I really don't know.
I feel like maybe Caroline might have said something though when she was suggesting, like, just so you know, this and this, and then Danielle took it so personal and unfollowed her. I don't know.
I mean, I had heard she got in an argument with her brother's wife because she didn't take her wedding dress shopping with her or something. She got offended.
Oh gosh.
That's the only thing I had heard. Like, I haven't heard.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything else. Why? But I don't know what that has to do with Caroline or.
Right.
I don't know what happened there, but that's, yeah, because so my brother-in-law, my niece Candace and Josh are her stepsisters. So
okay.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law's ex-wife is married to Danielle's father.
Okay.
So we're technically, related somehow.
Yeah. Another question that we got asked was, can Jacqueline speak about the Gorgas and the possible Fed connection, as well as Caroline's comments about how she was present when someone called? What do you know any? Yeah, like Caroline came out and said that, and it was huge. It made headlines everywhere. But was she?
I asked her about that, and she said she didn't say that.
She said that.
She said she didn't say that.
She literally said that. It was like everywhere. She was like, and I was there. That's what she said.
I asked her that, and she was like, don't be ridiculous. And then she said that wasn't true. But she knows the same stories that I know. Like, she knows the same. So there's so many factors to this. So everything that I've heard is that so Joe wanted to file bankruptcy to relieve some of his debt. So he did that, but then he tried to withdraw the bankruptcy. And, it was for a lot of money. So when he withdrew the bankruptcy, it drew a red flag to the district attorney, who was like, wait a second. So now I know that was happening. So that started an investigation. So now I had heard from Kim D that Joe Gorga's best friend, I forget his name, ask Kim D. He said that he was in Joe Gorga's office when he had the girl that worked with him call the IRS to report Joe Giudice for not paying his taxes. So I don't know at what point this supposedly happened or if it happened, but allegedly, I mean, this could have happened to spark the investigation, or it could have happened during the investigation. I don't know at what point that happened. I just know that was a rumor that was out there that I never shared with Teresa in the beginning because I had heard it through Kim D, and it's her family. So I hadn't said anything, but so I heard that. Then while they were doing the investigation, they started interviewing the people that Joe works with and things like that. So they interviewed his partner, Joe Masterpole. Joe Masterpole said, so at the time, I guess Joe Giudice owed him a bunch of money. So the feds were asking him questions. So he said he went to a mutual friend of Chris's. So Joe Masterpole went to a mutual friend of Chris's. Chris didn't know Joe Masterpole, but he knew the mutual friend.
Yeah.
He said, can you have your friend Chris talk to Joe and let him know that, they're asking me questions. And if he doesn't pay me the money he owes me, I'm going to start talking. So Chris went to Joe and said, hey, listen, your friend, he's about to talk to the feds about you. You owe him some money. If I were you, I would sit down and talk to this guy because he might go to the feds. Joe told Chris, tell him he can go fuck himself. So,
wow, yeah.
So Chris told the mutual friend, he doesn't want to sit down and talk. And so then the guys started talking. So there's so many factors in this. So you see them on camera, they're spending money, you filed bankruptcy, but you're showing this opulent, lifestyle on camera. You withdrew the bankruptcy, drew a red flag to the district attorney. There's an investigation going on. Now Joe Masterpole's involved. I'm sure he may have been, involved in some way. So he had to get his team to protect him. And sometimes you talk to save yourself. I don't know what his part in was it, what was going on. But he started talking to the Fed. So that's everything that I knew. And that's everything I told Teresa. I never said Joe called the feds. Like, what people don't understand is the IRS and the feds are two different entities, but they do work together. So I don't know if him calling the IRS sparked something from the beginning or if that was during the investigation. But that's just the rumor. Everything that I had heard were those three components to it. And it's the story I've told from the beginning. And
yeah, you've been consistent with this. Like, I feel like this is because I've heard you say this before. So
yeah. And even at the reunion, 7th season reunion, when she was trying to say that I called the feds, I was like, okay. I'm like, no, but I heard your brother did, or I made a comment and they did air. So you could hear me even saying it.
Yeah.
On the episode. And so that's what I had told Teresa. I didn't say your brother called the feds. I told her exactly what I had heard. And that's what I shared with her.
Do you remember how Melissa and Joe reacted when everyone found out that Teresa's going to jail?
I don't remember. She wasn't there. That was the end of 6th season when I was filming with Kathy and Richie. And I know they were very upset about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I wasn't around. I don't think I was even speaking to Melissa back then. Yeah, because that's when she was kind of ignoring me until she heard I was back on the show and filming.
Yeah. So she's like totally a show friend, and that's what it was when it came to her. And that's why I also feel like Jackie kind of turned on them, because Jackie realized that she was also a show friend and that they used her.
Yeah, because what Melissa does is she'll say things, she plants things. She's like very manipulative. She'll say things hoping you will repeat it.
Yeah.
You do it, not me. Like, hey, blah, 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 and that's what, that's what they do. But Jackie did that too. She was like, I wish somebody would tell the media about this. And I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be me, but I bet you Kim D would, because Kim D was saying all kinds of stuff at the time. But
just so toxic.
It's so toxic. You have no idea.
Yeah, it's so toxic. Yeah. How involved is Andy in the show during filming? Is he part of the behind the scenes drama?
No, he's not involved at all.
Wow.
I mean, I think people call them if they, get to I remember I got a call one time because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. And I didn't want to be, I think it was when Nick was regressing and they wanted Nick to do a play date with Adriana at a Discovery place or something. And Nick was regressing. He was doing, funny things on camera that I was trying to hide.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I didn't feel comfortable with it. And then there was something with Teresa. I can't remember. And I yelled at everyone. It was terrible. Like I had all the executives on the phone, Andy, everybody. I was telling them all to go fuck themselves. I was so mad. And so, I mean, he'll get involved when the producers can't handle you. Then they'll go to and then you get a call, or if someone's really having an issue, they can reach out to him, I guess.
I mean, you were going through it.
Typically, yeah. And I mean, I remember a scene when Teresa and Melissa were meeting. We were meeting at their house for them to talk. And I was in the backyard and I had Nick, and he kept going upside down and making these noises, and his eyes would roll up and he'd do these movements with his head. And I scooped him up to get him away from the camera. And I put him on this swing, and I was like by myself swinging on this swing with Nick, and they were filming, trying to get away from the camera. And then they filmed me with him, and it looked like I was being like antisocial and like not talking to them. And I was just acting like, oh, let them talk or whatever. But I was really trying to get Nick away from the camera. And I mean, I remember days like that. I would just go home and cry, and I would try to hide. Like, I get emotional thinking about it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, because there was, it was so new to me, and things that were going on that I didn't have answers to yet. So I just didn't want to expose him and have people speculate on like, what's wrong with their kid, and I didn't have a diagnosis or anything yet. So I was trying to hide it and protect him and not make a big deal about it to producers. Even when they were at my house behind the scenes, I'm like, I really didn't want them seeing that, or knowing anything like that. And so it was kind of like a painful season, because it's sort of like this internal sadness, like, it doesn't go away, and you're holding on to that the whole time, but then you're trying to engage in other things, like towards the end of season 4, Teresa and I had made up, but then I knew she really still hated me. Melissa told me, I heard her saying so I was shutting down at that point, because that was like really towards the end of his diagnosis. And remember the scene I fell asleep on the couch?
Yeah, but you weren't really sleeping.
No, I was really sleeping. I swear to God.
Oh, I thought you weren't.
No, let me tell you what happened. So the night before, there was that same exact fight happened the night before, but we didn't have, the cameras weren't up. So they wanted us to repeat what the argument was on camera. I'd already heard it before. I wasn't really a part of it. It was more between them. But I laid down, like at that point, I knew Teresa really didn't like me. I was like shutting down. I was like, I just went off the show. This is like so toxic. Everybody's being fake. Everybody hates each other. I just hated it.
Yeah.
So I laid down on the couch, and I'm like, at first I was just closing my eyes and like, oh yeah, whatever, ignoring them. But I really fell asleep to the point, and I sleep deep. I can sleep in the middle of a party.
Wow.
I slept for so long afterwards that I have a picture of me laying on the couch after they had already broken down the cameras.
Wow.
Chris woke me up after they had broken down. When I woke up, Caroline was in the bedroom all upset. The camera people were gone. It was like this whole thing. And Lauren had recorded some of it on her phone, so she played it for me on her phone so I could hear what happened. And but no, I really, really, truly fell asleep. I started out just laying there, but then I really fell asleep because I was just so checked out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, like, to go back to what you were saying, you were also postpartum, and there wasn't a lot of talk about this. So I think that, people also didn't know what you were going through. So when I watch back, I'm like, my God, and I have kids now, and I'm like, what she was going through on camera. And then you're probably seeing all these petty fights, and to you, you're like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my child.
Yes, and I'm like dealing with
it.
It's like, like I would say, like static in my ear. That's why, like, I'd had enough after Strippergate, because at the time, Melissa and Joe were telling me, how they left together and it looked like they were united leaving California.
Yeah.
They were behind the scenes telling me they were mad at Teresa because she had done something for Joe's work, trying to get him in trouble with his work, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were not really happy with Teresa at the time. Teresa wasn't happy with me at the time, but faking it. Everybody was faking it. I was just like, and then when the Strippergate thing happened, I was so disgusted. Like, this is where producers go. Like, this is what they're doing. Then Teresa's trying to put it on me. Then I'm hearing Danielle's supposed to show up that night. Kim G, I was like, I started screaming at the cameras that night. I was like, Bravo, you're disgusting. Like I was screaming at the cameras how disgusting the show was. I wanted no part of it. So I had quit the show. I thought I had quit the show. And that was the night before the season 3 reunion. And I was like refusing to have any part of the show or them, or just, I was sick of everything, but I was also hurting over my son, but I was also hating what the show was,
Yeah.
So
it's not what you signed up for. I mean, you guys were at like a salon you thought it was going to be fun for the most part. And it goes too far. Like it is right now. It just goes too far.
But then after, so I didn't go to the reunion. So season 3 reunion happened the night after the season 4 finale, because we had filmed back to back. So it was
that was crazy.
Yeah. So then I ended up coming back 5th season because my contract, I had 1 more year on my contract. And once more time had passed, I was able to calm down. And then I'm like, all right, I'll finish out, the 1 more season, because they kind of reminded me I was in breach of my contract. So I came back for 5th season and then I quit. And then they were like, are you sure you don't want to come back 6th season? I said, I'm positive. But then you start missing the money. And then they were like, come back, the show sucks, blah, blah, blah. Filming's been bad. So then I went back again. And then after 7th season, they demoted me to a part-time. They said, just start filming as part-time and let's just see where your story goes and, your relationship to the cast. And you might be full-time, but they wouldn't guarantee me full-time. And I'm like, well, why would you bring me in for part-time money? And then all of a sudden be like, okay, you've earned full-time. I'm like, you're full of shit. Like, you're either going to bring me in full-time or don't bring me in at all, because I'm not playing this game. Like, I have to try out for the show again and try to prove myself.
OG.
Yeah. And like bond with the cast. I'm like, I'm not doing it. So I quit. And then they tried to get me to come in a couple of different scenes and pay me a day rate. And then I said no to that too.
Wow. What is your biggest regret while being on Real Housewives?
Trusting the wrong people. And
That's a good question.
Probably trusting the wrong people, just taking things so personally. I should have kept it like some of the other girls do on the show. They come on, they entertain, and then they don't bring it home and they leave. I think I took everything very personally. I tried to keep it as real as possible. And so I would seriously get hurt by things that would happen and things people would say and do. Like I took everything to heart when I should have just treated it like a business, like the other girls do.
But I feel like it makes it so you. And I think that's like a lot of people really did relate to you, because a lot of people are like that. It's real. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel bad for like, Teresa having to go through all that and the stuff with Margaret and them. It's not cool.
Are there any false narratives that you've heard about yourself, your family, or Teresa that you'd want to clear up?
No, I mean, there definitely false narratives out there and things that people say, but if clearing anything up, you're just bringing light to it. And
that's very true.
And people are only going to believe what they want to believe about you. If I could shout, all kinds of things out there, like this isn't true and that's not true, but people always just want to believe.
You can't change someone's mind.
Yeah. It's like, it's just, that's how they're going to be. And I know the truth. People that know me know the truth about things. So it's like, it doesn't really matter. It didn't affect my personal life. I mean, I was still living my life the same and doing the same things. So it's like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
If I was on the show, then you defend yourself.
Right.
But
you're at peace.
Yeah.
Someone had said, I'm currently rewatching season 4 where Jacqueline is coming down on Ashley because she was unmotivated and constantly out all night and sleeping all day. Looking back, do you think maybe she was just being a regular 19, 20, 21-year-old? They said a lot more, but basically, what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, listen, if she's if she's doing something, whether it was, what am I trying to say? If she's acting age appropriate, regardless, if it's wrong, I have to correct her on it and guide her the right way. I can't just be like, oh, that's age appropriate. I'm going to tell her what's right or wrong, or,
Yeah.
and people don't understand. Ashley and I have like, we're only 20 years apart. I raised her a lot in her younger years as a single mom. And so our relationship is kind of different. We act like sisters. We fight like sisters. She almost felt like, she's on the same level as me. So when I try to pull rank as mom, it's like offensive to her. So we battle. But we're also very close at the same time,
Yeah.
like it's like we fight and we're like, it's like sisters. And I'm not saying it's, that's dysfunctional, but what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But like, I remember, there was a time on the show where she wanted to work in the city with a PR agency. And
I just watched that.
Yeah, I fully supported her doing that, but she wanted us to pay for her to have an apartment in the city.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know how expensive it is to have an apartment in the city? If you can have that job, if that's important to you, do it. But you're going to commute every day, just like your father does. Like he can every day too. Chris goes back and forth to work every day. A lot of people do it from New Jersey. So if you want the job, get up early, go do the job. But I think she didn't like that commute or whatever. And, she was upset that we wouldn't get her the apartment in the city, but it was expensive and I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. And it was an internship. So, yeah.
So, I support anything that she wants to do because I think she's extremely smart. She picks up on things easy and she's a very talented artist and makeup artist. And I'd like, I like that she's doing makeup artistry and she's actually a really talented artist too. So I'd like to see her do more with that, but that's something she just likes to do in her free time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We were combative, but the show, highlighted the worst moments and never really picked up on the good moments too. And it's easy to get annoyed when their producers are asking you to bring up certain topics that they know are sensitive. So when you're talking about certain things and we don't agree on certain things, it was just never good, So,
Yeah.
It's embarrassing fighting with your kid on camera, but
that would be, it was also like, the age, we all went through that with our mom, that age. So it was like her hardest age and the most challenging as a parent too, to parent. So yeah, of course.
And everyone's looking at you and judging it.
Yes, exactly.
You're not going to understand this dynamic we have.
Yeah, 100%. Did you ever listen to the Siggy interview that we did with her?
I remember hearing parts of it. What part in particular?
Well, Siggy.
I think I did hear it. But
yeah, Siggy.
She loves you.
Yeah, she spoke on you. She spoke very positive about you. What are your thoughts on Siggy? Siggy did also expose Margaret Joseph's. She said that Margaret had reached out to her husband's ex-wife, and I guess like Siggy had told Bravo, if I'm going to sign up for the show, this ex-wife could never be a part of the show because her stepchildren would be affected by this. So she did expose that in there. She did talk about you and, saying that you did have a hard time and that people didn't really see the full story. So she was defending you.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's a dirty game the housewives play. And it's just like, everybody wants to have information in their back pocket to use if someone comes after them. They are, if they think, maybe somebody had something on Margaret. I don't know what, but, I think Margaret likes to keep things in her back pocket to use against people for things. And, it is a dirty game to play. I feel like a lot of the housewives do that though.
Do you think you feel pressure by producers because you're like, maybe there's not much going on in my life that I have to do this?
No, the producers pretty much guide you. So I remember getting upset during our season, like every time we would film, like if we wanted to talk about something, they weren't following the narrative, they would change the direction of our conversation. Like they would say, no, we need to get your opinion on what you thought about Teresa, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh, why do we always have to talk about Teresa? Like, they really weren't interested in our lives or what we had going on. Like they were following the Teresa narrative. So that's what we would have to answer to whatever the narrative was at the time. It's like, give your opinion on this, talk about opinion on this or that. So that's what that's what you go with. But if you have like information, like, I don't know, like what, I don't know if that's what Margaret was doing. Like she went out on her own. I doubt producers are like, go find out this information. But if they know information, they might say, ooh, you know what I heard? I heard that blah, 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 like they'll tell you stuff, you secrets. And you're like, really? And then you kind of, they act like they're on your team and they're giving you information or something.
Right. That's interesting. It's a hard thing because, again, you had said you get frustrated, but they're also trying to do their job. Do you think Bravo needs new producers for New Jersey?
Well, they have new producers pretty much every season. We'd have different producers because they're all freelancers. So they all kind of work different jobs in the, sometimes there's different cast and crews. Sometimes it'll be the same sound person or you'll recognize, it does switch up a lot. I don't think I think the producer's job is always going to be the same. It's like, get whatever scoop you can out of them. We'll all talk about it and we'll plan what narrative the show's going to go in. Like, what's the most interesting? What is everyone saying about each other? And where can we take that story and tell a story, from what everyone's telling us?
Well, there have been some New Jersey producers that were fired from Sirens Media. Did you ever know about that?
No, I remember, wasn't Kat fired or no?
Yeah. Was it? It wasn't Dorothy, or was it Kat? I don't know.
I don't know if that was, I remember someone got in trouble because they put like on the call sheet, there was like the call sheets that they have.
Yeah.
They said something about Lauren and her weight, or it was something that was inappropriate.
Oh my gosh.
They had written like a line that they wanted to follow that I think was offensive. I don't remember. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I remember there was something like that. And I remember there was drama around that. So I don't know if that got someone fired, or do you remember like why they were fired?
I don't remember why I have to go listen back to that Siggy interview because Siggy actually talked about it. So, but I don't exactly remember.
Yeah, I don't know who was fired or not because it was always somebody new. Like, I had a producer pretty much every season, So, I don't know.
So, having spent time with Louie and Teresa, what is your opinion on him and them as a couple? Why do you think the cast was so anti-Louie with your experience, being on the show and stuff?
So I mean, when I've been in Louie's presence, like 3 times?
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. He was so nice. He was so supportive. To me, it was obvious that he was in love with Teresa, the way he would look at her. He just seemed like enamored by her, would laugh at everything she would say. He seemed supportive and caring, and like he was like encouraging our relationship, with each other. And it's like, I know there's rumors out there about him and stuff, but like people get upset, like, why aren't I, it's not my business to give my opinion on whatever Louie's doing in his business or private life or whatever. I can just go by how he was with me and how makes Teresa feel. And Teresa seems extremely happy. They both seem happy. She seems in love. She seems enamored. They both seem to be that way with each other. So, I mean, there was nothing bad that happened in my presence with him that it would raise a flag, that, and as far as the personal relationship and him being a nice gentleman really around me, like, I mean, on the show, I didn't see the previous seasons to see what triggered this animosity towards him. But I can just speak on how he was with me, and he was very nice and friendly. I mean, that's all I can say. They were cute together. They were nice with me, and that's all I know and care about. If something were to happen with him, if he's up to no good or whatever, I mean, everything always comes to light. And, if that happens one day and Teresa needs me, I'll be there for her. But, who am I to say, like, don't be with this guy who's bringing you such happiness?
Exactly.
And joy. You know what I mean? So I don't really get involved with that,
Yeah.
So, And I understood, like, I'm glad that he came out and did that apology to Margaret and everything. I think, but being on the show, I've said horrible things too when at the heat of the moment, when you're angry at someone and you're screaming and you're just so fed up. And I think he was just so fed up in the moment about, them knowing, because they had court records showing that Margaret was involved and her brother was involved and Jackie was involved, and they knew this the whole time. So they were probably so fed up with everyone always coming at them. It's like sometimes you just explode and you say things out of anger. I mean, I remember at a reunion, I was like, I hope you go to jail. Like, did I really mean that? No, I didn't really mean that, but I was so angry. It's like you just reach for the most horrible thing you could think of when you're in the heat of the moment. And I think that's what he did. And then when he saw himself, he felt bad. And then it's like, okay, I shouldn't have said that, but I don't like the bitch, but
no, 100%.
And apologized. So I think that's where his headspace was. But, it just sucks because he did the right thing by apologizing, but then some people don't accept the apology and they're like, oh, he's just saying that to save his butt. Well, it's like, he's doing that because he should save his butt because he knows he said the wrong thing and he's trying to make right of it. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, what's true, not true. People talk, they say all kinds of crazy shit that's not true. So who knows what it is truly true? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I have 2 more questions for you. So one of our listeners had asked, they said, do you think the network favors Melissa just because she's had, multiple seasons with really no storyline? How do you think she's been able to, get on every season?
I mean, no, I really think that she's just not, I don't know, that interesting. I think Joe was more interesting as Teresa's brother. He was more of a housewife than Melissa. But I think Melissa is just more calculating on what she will do and say on camera. And I think, I mean, Teresa gets more attention because she always has the most going on. And I think, we've seen so many aspects of Teresa's personality, but you don't see that many of aspects of Melissa's personality. She just stays more controlled and so it's hard to like get her on certain things when she won't give it. She's like more behind the scenes planting seeds in other people's heads and then just reacting to everyone else reacting, then she won't give it as much, I don't think she's interesting. She's an attractive girl, but I mean, Joe was better TV in the beginning, but then that even got stale, like all the talk and all that, I think we're past it. I think we're over it,
Yeah, I think so too. So what's next for Jacqueline Laurita? What are you up to? What are you doing?
Well, I'm sort of living the retired life right now.
I love that.
But it's like I've never not worked in my life, so I like working. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll start a podcast. Maybe.
Oh, you should. I feel like you'd be really good at that.
I agree.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. I might do something just because, I like doing that. I like having my own stream of income and not being, honey, can I?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think you would be so good at that. And you'd also help a lot of people too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know yet. Right now I'm just sort of, I'm busy with Nick and things with him. And I'm just enjoying myself doing nothing right now, really.
I love that for you. That's amazing.
It's nice. It's like I'm at a different stage in my life,
Right. Yeah. Your kids are getting older. You can relax a little bit. So that's nice.
I tried gardening. I still trying gardening, but I'm really bad at it. I thought I was good at it, but then everything died. I don't know. I'm gonna start over.
Yeah, I love that.
What else do grandmas do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I know, and I still can't believe you're even a grandma. It's so weird. And then you have and he's 8. That is wild to me.
I know.
Crazy. Well, we appreciate you so much for coming on. We have been waiting for this. You made our life by doing this. So thank you so much for everything.
Did I answer everything?
Yes, you did. You did a great job.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
And when you start your podcast, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Bye.